This is Kurt with eTrailer, and today we're going to take a look at the Kuat Ibex truck bed rack. We're going to see how it fits and how it installs on our 2026 Chevy Colorado. Bed rack like the Ibex is a great way to carry some of those items that might be too long for the truck bed, or you might just want them up and out of the way of the other things in your truck bed. So things like a kayak or a canoe would be great for something like this. Normally you'd either have to carry it with the tailgate down, or I've seen it before where people just kind of throw them into the truck bed, tie them down maybe with a little piece of rope, and hope for the best. Having something like this is going to allow you to carry it laid all the way out. It's going to be a lot safer and a lot more secure. It's also a fantastic option if you were looking into a rooftop tent. Reason being, rooftop tents can be pretty heavy, so they're often a little bit too heavy for roof racks and things like that. On something like this, however, we have an excellent capacity with this. So our on-road capacity while driving is 600 pounds. Off-road, it'll go down to 300 pounds. And it has a static capacity, meaning while the vehicle is still, of 1,200 pounds. So it's actually perfect for you and a couple of people to enjoy your rooftop tent. This rack is also modular, meaning we can change it a little bit. There's a section here in each of our 4 legs that can be removed during assembly, and what it'll essentially do is lower the rack to a height of around right here. We've got it right now at its full height, and at its full height, it comes just over the cab of the truck, which I think is fantastic. On a lot of trucks, this doesn't quite clear the top of the cab, but on the Colorado it does, and frankly, I like that setup a whole lot more. It's also modular in that you can actually take it off and use it on other trucks as well. And that's because the crossbars can be moved closer and further apart as far as how wide your truck bed goes. You're going to get a lot of different clamp assemblies for different trucks, so keep that in mind. If the day ever comes down the road where you sell the Colorado and go for a different mid-sized truck, there's a really good chance you'll still be able to use your Ibex. It's also modular in the way that through these bolts here and here at the top of our bars, we could change our crossbar spread to be closer together or further apart. Right now, we've got it at its widest distance. This should be perfect, though, for anybody that wants to put a rooftop tent up here or a kayak carrier or anything similar to that. If I'm going to be carrying, bike racks or something like that up here, I'm probably going to need to move these closer together. But for now, it's really kind of at the perfect width if you're going to be carrying one of those other items. The other great thing about it is that there are a lot of different accessories you can get for it. There are different handles and molly panels and things like that that you could put up just to make your setup more perfect and more geared toward you and whatever adventures you like to go on. I had mentioned that our crossbar spread was modular, so set up at its maximum, we're looking at a crossbar spread of about 45.5 inches, and that's quite a large spread. But like I said, if you're doing something bigger like a kayak or rooftop tent, this is actually kind of perfect for something like that. I could always move them as close together if I wanted to, and again, that goes through these bolts and these brackets underneath. The other thing is, because this bar is modular, it can be moved closer and further apart. I'm going to go ahead and we're just going to get just under 42 inches of total usable bar space here. So depending on what you're carrying up here, it might allow you to carry 2 items side by side, like a couple of kayaks or a couple of bike carriers if you want to. You do have a T-slot up here that you can access as well if you have T-slot accessories to use. And up here at the top of these side panels, we also have T-slots that will allow you to put on some of those extra accessories as well. The other thing I had mentioned too was just how high it comes up. This is going to come up off of your bed rail at about 21.25 inches. So again, that's just enough to clear the top up here. The one thing you may have to worry about is your antenna here in the middle. But generally speaking, with this kind of spread, you can always mount a rooftop tent or something like that to be a little bit more toward the back, or if you're doing canoes and kayaks, generally people will set it up one here and one here. They'll split the roof and you can avoid that antenna altogether. Installation is fairly simple. However, you are going to have to provide a couple of things on your own. One being a tape measure and the other being a torque wrench so you can make sure you get all your bolts tightened properly. The other thing you're going to need is a second person with you to help get this up onto the truck bed. It is aluminum, but it does end up being a bit bulky and a bit heavy and awkward to carry on your own and get it balanced up here on these rails. But follow along, and I'm going to show you right now how we got this onto the bed of our Colorado. We've gone ahead and gotten everything assembled for the Ibex. Before we get it up on the truck, it's just a few things we should show you. First and foremost, this orange block and screw here. This, when you loosen it up, is going to allow you to expand or contract the width of your crossbar. That is what's going to line it up to fit your particular truck bed. So what we did was we took a measurement of the truck bed rail to rail. What we came up with was 54 3/4 inches. So we went ahead and expanded this so that we would get from the inside edge here to the inside edge here. We got it right at 55 inches, just gave us a little bit of overlap. Reason being is we want to be able to get it up onto the truck bed and have it just sit on the rails up there. From there, we could tweak our adjustments while we're up there using this, but you can loosen this and tighten it to set your crossbar width. As far as your crossbar spread goes, that is controlled through these bolts here on the side. So you can loosen these up on either side and using this T-track, slide your crossbars closer together or further apart. The important thing to remember though is that they are going to be directly across at a perfectly perpendicular to each other. So the way that you can do that would be, from the end here, just take a measurement of wherever it is. If you set your bar 5 inches in from there, make sure it matches up to 5 inches on the other side as well. That way you can make sure that everything goes on there straight when we get it up onto the truck bed. You're going to want to have somebody with you. This is a little too bulky and a little too awkward to do on your own, so we got John to help us out. He's going to grab the other side, and all we're going to do is lift it up and get it set on our rails. Okay. All right. Now with it safely up and it resting up here, we can make any width adjustments that we're going to need. We're going to put on our load brackets here. They'll go into place just like so, and they're just going to create some extra support for our crossbars here. So if you go into your hardware kit, you're going to find these sets of bolts with a block to fit into the T-slot. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove the bolt. One of these is going to go in right just like that. And we're going to take another one and we're going to put it into the T-slot right underneath our bar right here. Now we're also going to grab a couple of the flat washers and put those with our bolts. And next we're just going to go ahead and grab our bracket. And again, it's going to go on just like this. I find it to be a little bit easier to do this one going straight up into the bar first. You can slide it over and give yourself a little bit of clearance. And I'm just going to get that threaded, but not too tight so I can still maneuver it back and forth. And once I've done that, I'm going to grab my other bolt and washer. I'm going to slide this right over and thread it into that block on the side. And once you've got that in there and tightened up, go ahead and double check your instructions for any torque specs and torque them accordingly. Come on up to the cab end, and what you want to make sure is double checking your clearance. Kuat asks for a minimum 1.5 inch clearance between the front of the Ibex and the rear window. So for the furthest point, which is down here a little ways, we're going to get this right at 1.5 inches. And I'm going to double check on my driver's side to make sure that it measures up the same way. Now that we've got everything tightened down into place, it's time to get our clamp set and basically clamp down our ladder rack onto our truck. We're going to be accessing this T-channel here to hold those clamps, and you're going to want to go ahead and grab the large and the smaller security tool out of your hardware kit. You'll identify those because they'll have that cavity in the end of them right there. The clamps that we're going to be using on here, you're going to get all kinds of different clamp parts and clamp assemblies, and that's because Kuat puts in different clamps for different types of trucks. Trucks with T-tracks and things like that inside the bed. The Colorado, however, does not have that, so we're going to use the J-style clamp. It's going to go up underneath the lip of our bed caps here. And the first thing that we're going to want to do is basically loosen up and get these T-blocks off of the clamp and get those slid into place. So these are just going to go into this track right here. And we're just going to slide one up, and we're going to go ahead and do that with the other one as well. Now, one of the things that you do want to be mindful of is underneath here there's different nibs and attachments, things that are basically going to block this J-clamp from being able to move back and forth or from being able to sit up under here flush. So one of the things that's really important for you to do is kind of feel around on there and get a general location of where it might end up being. I've got a spot right here with a wide enough flat area that it should be able to mount most of this onto it. So now that we've got a good spot, we're going to go ahead and take our larger tool, we're going to use it at the top, and we're going to loosen this bolt up. We don't need to take it out completely. What we're really trying to do is lengthen this to give us clearance to get underneath our bed rails there. That should be enough to do it. And what I'm going to do is slip this section here underneath the rail. This section here should be going up over the top like that. So it goes on pretty well just right there. Now what I'm doing is I'm just kind of holding it in place, and I'm feeling around under here with that J-clamp, because again, I just want to make sure that I've got it in a place where all of this stays flush. And right here looks like a pretty good spot for it. So I'm going to go ahead, and I'm not going to really tighten this down so much as I'm just going to get it snug so that it just kind of stays in place a little bit for us. At this point, I'm going to slide my block in, get it lined up, and take my bolt and run it back through into that block. And I'm going to do the same thing with this bolt right here. These are going to be tightened up using the smaller security tool. Get this one in place. And I really do want to make sure that I get these tightened before I tighten this one down, because I want to make sure that this is laying flush on here, and it's going to make sure that this J-clamp is also going to be flush and not bowed out or anything like that. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and tighten down these screws right here. Right. And once those are tightened down, I'm going to go ahead and tighten this, and it'll come up and clamp on and hold us down onto our bed. Now, pay attention to your instructions. There are torque specs for these bolts. It's a different torque spec for each size of bolt. And it's a good idea to just kind of go around everywhere on the rack and just double check to make sure everything is tightened down accordingly. And don't forget as well the orange bolt on the top of your crossbar. Make sure you tighten that down. I would say torque that one down last. If you left it a little bit loose throughout the process, like I recommended, any adjustments you make as you're tightening this down, it's not bowing on anything up here. It's adjusting accordingly. So make that one up there the last one that you torque down. So that's a look at the Kuat Ibex bed rack on our 2026 Chevy Colorado. And if after watching this video you've still got some questions, go ahead and leave those in the comments below. We'd love to answer those for you. It'll help you and other neighbors just like you make the best decision for yourself. Once again, this is Curt with eTrailer. Thanks for stopping by.